is up, guys, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Show, the #1 wrestling show meant specifically for casual wrestling fans. Each and every week, I, the Notorious Nerdy D, topple the biggest questions in pro wrestling. Alongside me, my co-host tonight, LevelUp Lauren.
What's up, y'all?
You can find the show every Wednesday on YouTube and on your favorite podcast network. If you enjoy the content, make sure to join our casual community Discord. The link will be in the description of this video. Lauren, let's get to talking about wrestling. So I have 5 things I want to talk about this week, okay?
Okay.
And I kind of formatted them in kind of a question. I use ChatGPT. I ask it a question, and then it regurgitates back to me a better sounding version of that question to ask myself on the podcast. But the first question actually came from our Discord, and it came from our Discord friend, MKE Mike. Okay. And he basically broke it down. I took what he said, stuck it into ChatGPT, let it spit it back out to me. But basically, this is paraphrasing what the question he asked. And it is, in recent times, there's been a significant amount of discussion surrounding the booking and creative decisions within the WWE, particularly given some of the seemingly questionable choices they've made. As fans, many of us feel like we could craft more compelling storylines and matches in our own fantasy booking. So let's delve into this topic. What, in your opinion, goes into the decision behind the booking or a storyline inside of WWE? Let's take, for example, a match between Dana Brooke and Rhea Ripley, or the surprising 3-second defeat of Corbin by Cameron Grimes. How would you approach these booking and creative decisions differently? What changes would you like to see implemented? And where do you think WWE might be going wrong? We've all had experience booking in WWE 2K and thoroughly enjoy it. So why does the actual product sometimes fall short? So he's asking for our thoughts. So I took this and I kind of broke this down into a couple different questions.
Okay.
The first one was, what, in your opinion, goes into the decisions behind the booking inside of like the WWE creative room, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what goes into booking inside of WWE is deeper than what we do as fans. I think they actually have to look at the way the market reacts to certain people. And by market, I mean the way the television companies react to certain wrestlers, the way wrestlers react to certain wrestlers. It's not just about how the fans react to certain wrestlers. And so I think that one thing we don't see as fans is like, we don't get to see who's putting in the work, right? We don't get this. Triple H gets to see who's in the gym, who's working on their fitness, who's working on their skill set, who's working on their mic skills, who's on the come up, and who's just comfortable with where they are. And I think that plays a lot into what happens when WWE decides to push or not push a certain person. I also do believe, though, that within WWE, that there's a lot of politics that are going on as well. I think that, and I don't think politics, I say that, but I don't mean that necessarily as a negative thing, right? I think people, it's pretty obvious from looking on social media, like Liv Morgan is liked by most wrestlers. So I think that perception comes through when they book her and she's booked favorably. I don't think there's any complaints from anybody, you know,
like,
within the
she's
company.
Such a nice person.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all happy for her.
They're all happy for her. Whereas someone, you know, I don't know if LA Knight's just somebody I'm throwing out there, but maybe he rubs people the wrong way, and that's why, you know, they don't see the benefit of booking that person forward because they don't know how reliable that person will be, you know, moving forward. Mm-hmm. Second question was, how would you approach these booking decisions and creative decisions differently? So it's hard to say what I would change if I was in a position of power. Because like I said, right now, I see things from the outside. And I think that's an objective point to see, right? I think that within WWE, they're going to have to do a little bit more of looking at things from the outside and not being so close to the product. But I don't know who the television network's like.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get to see the internal conversations of like, maybe Omos is favorable with like Fox or USA.
That was literally the first name that popped in my head.
Right? Or maybe Austin Theory. Maybe they go, hey, due to like internal polling numbers, we see this guy is doing well in this time slot. I don't know that information they get, nor do I think you really need that information. I think it's pretty easy to judge what should be booked and shouldn't be booked based off of pure just crowd reaction to certain people, right? I do think that you have to play. There's a factor that plays into like if someone's hard to work with.
Yeah.
Which is something, we just absolutely don't know. Maybe Omos is just super super pliable and listens and is like a sponge and takes in everything. Therefore, they continue to try to push and try to see what will work with him. And I just keep going back to LA Knight because LA Knight feels like somebody, his character is abrasive, so I don't know. And I have no inside information, but maybe he's abrasive in the back, and that's why they go, he rubs people the wrong way. So if I'm booking, I think I have to remove myself from a certain amount of those situations because you do get to situations like with LA Knight where the crowd wants one thing, and it feels like they're absolutely booking against what the crowd wants, right? The biggest thing I think I would do differently is WWE has this tendency I've seen where they let guys cool off. They let them get high. They did it with Montez Ford twice, I can remember. There was at one point in time Montez Ford got to take on Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship, and it was a hell of a match. I thought Montez came out with so much momentum, and then they didn't know what to do with Montez Ford after that, so they let him cool back off. I think around Elimination Chamber this year, Montez had a ton of momentum. It felt like they were teasing something between Montez Ford and Austin Theory. And then once again, they just let that cool off. Right now, they're doing it with LA Knight. LA Knight is being cheered by the crowd like a fan favorite, yet we see he's put into a tag team with Rick Boogs.
Yeah.
Right. So if I was booking, I think you have to be flexible enough to capitalize on what you see the crowd doing, especially when it comes to like the mid-card titles, the United States and the Intercontinental Championship. I get like with the main titles, you have to have a certain amount of a plan. Because, like you have to have a structure and know your big points you're trying to hit throughout the year because you're constantly building to these big four events. It's SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor Series used to be kind of one. And I think Royal Rumble is considered one. But you're building your stories towards those moments. So you do have to have a semblance of a plan, but it also feels like you have to be able to adjust, right? Some of the best moments we've ever gotten in wrestling history are when they audibled. The Daniel Bryan stuff around WrestleMania 30 going into New Orleans where the crowd just basically hijacked the story. Sami Zayn's a perfect example. I don't think they had any intention for Sami Zayn to get as big as he got. I just think that finally the crowd kind of overtook and started cheering for Sami Zayn, and they felt like we've got to push him in a certain direction. But I still think even with Sami, they've allowed him to cool off. Him and Kevin Owens, they've allowed them to cool off. And once again, it's kind of just this narrative of we've got to continue pushing the bloodline story. So the other question I saw there was, well, what changes would you like to see implemented by WWE? I think I want a more organic style of booking. I want to see them, I want them to lean more into just using their ears to like, if LA Knight is getting hot, lay into that and figure out a way to make that relevant in the WWE universe. I think, we're getting these long title runs, which they're so, they're beneficial to the person holding the title, but they're so detrimental to everybody else surrounding the guys that are actually holding titles, right? Because you hear Damian Priest is the next guy, right? Fucking Montez Ford is the next guy. You hear all these names thrown around, but what does that mean? If they don't have a path to get to the Intercontinental Championship, if they don't have a path to get the United States Championship, if they're not next in line for a world title, what does that mean if it's not organic? Look at guys like Xavier.
When is the next guy gonna be the next guy?
Yeah, I mean,
like a year later.
You said something that was interesting. Those two triple threat matches they had for the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. One of them featured Edge. Who was it? It was Edge
and AJ Styles.
AJ Styles.
And there was another older guy.
And somebody else. And like we were like, the median age of this match is like 45. Mm-hmm. They're not. there is a problem. They're not prepping that next generation. They're so worried right now with like the visual of these long title runs and being able to call people the longest modern day champion. Bianca's the longest modern women's day champion, that I think a little bit of that organic, people like title changes, especially casual fans.
Well, I was just about to ask you, like, do you think it really matters to fans, like, how long somebody has been the champion?
It matters in a sense of it builds godlike characters, right? Roman Reigns has hit a godlike tier now where he's viewed very differently than some other superstars. But I don't think everybody can't be that. You can't have all of your titles locked up in this idea that like everybody's about to get a long title run. Some of the titles have to bounce around, or a night like Night of Champions could end up with like no title changes.
Same champions.
Yeah, which is really weird.
That led me to another quick question. How long is too long for this like reign of champions?
It should just be dependent on what the story calls for, right? Roman Reigns, it's made sense to go this long because they are literally trying to build the GOAT, the greatest of all time. That is what all intents purpose of that story is to make Roman Reigns the greatest wrestler of all time. But you know, someone like Gunther, who, well, he's the longest modern day intercontinental champion. That's not going to be remembered that long. No, like there's bigger things in his future, and you're tying up that title where guys like LA Knight can't get any shine, Montez Ford can't get any shine, Xavier Woods can't get any shine, right? And so it just, to me, it creates this like disasterful situation where, yeah, right, Gunther is in a good spot. Roman's in a good spot. The Usos were in a good spot for a long time. Theory seemingly is I mean, he's in a good spot, even though I don't think the title does that much for Austin Theory. I think he may be the next guy to drop. But I don't love the long title runs. I think organic booking, I think they need to start listening to what the crowd wants and kind of be able to be more organic and like, yeah, I know we said at SummerSlam this was the plan, but we might have to pivot off of that. Right. Second topic is on a recent on the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, we saw Rhea Ripley repeatedly intervening in matches involving male superstars. Yes. Notably, she shields Dominic Mysterio during Judgment Day segments. In our view, does this dynamic enhance or detract from Rhea's overall character, especially from the perspective of casual wrestling fans? So I'm torn here. It works from a bad guy's perspective, right? From being the heels, it definitely adds to the story of Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. I think that what they're building with that story goes even deeper than what we see on TV. There is an angle when they finally decide to break them apart that's going to be extremely interesting, and it'll be extremely interesting if there's a match that pits Rhea Ripley against Dominic Mysterio at some point.
That would be cool.
I think that is the culmination of that story. That could actually make sense, but as a whole, I don't love the idea of Rhea Ripley getting physical with male superstars because there's always this crutch. And the crutch is that the male superstars can't fight back. It's lose-lose for your male talent. So while I guess it appears to make Rhea Ripley feel like that China type character where, she can mix it up with the guys. But the reality is someone like Kevin Owens isn't going to swing back, right?
No.
You're not going to take a character like that and have them be the one that hits Rhea Ripley back.
Austin Theory might, in my mind.
I'm not jumping into that. I don't know why. I mean,
that just popped in my mind. Like I can see that.
And there's been instances in WWE where male wrestlers have fought women wrestlers. It just still doesn't quite feel right? At one time there was a guy named James Ellsworth, and he was like, I believe, the women's champion for a while.
Yeah,
which was funny. It made sense. He was a scrawny dude the story was that the only title he could win basically was to beat up on the women. And it was actually kind of a funny storyline because it made sense. I don't love the idea of like, if we're headed towards a repeat of what they did with China, where like Rhea Ripley starts getting involved in the men's Royal Rumble or intercontinental title matches. I think it does, number one, a disservice to the male superstars, not because it's not based on like, oh, men are stronger than women. It's based on this idea that we're kind of taught men don't hit women.
Yeah.
So you see, like when Rhea steps in, you see the male superstars pull back.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. So then you put them in the awkward situation where like, oh, you have to be in a match with this woman. Also, to me, creates this extremely wide gap of believability in the women's division.
That's exactly what popped in my head.
If Rhea Ripley is able to fight someone, let's just say, like Kevin Owens, and mix it up with Kevin Owens, you can't the next week expect me to believe that Zelina Vega is going 30 minutes with Rhea Ripley in a match. It's like those two things don't align to me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. So as long as Rhea Ripley is the bad guy, and as long as it's just her stepping in front of Dom, and the tactic actually is Rhea Ripley understands that they're not going to hit her back, I love it. It's a heel tactic. It works. The minute it crosses the boundary of like, oh no, we're really teasing like matches between Rhea Ripley and male superstars, I think that's going to cause problems in your booking long term. I do think it works though, that at some point Rhea Ripley fighting Dominic Mysterio, especially if they're going to lean into the like Dominic Mysterio is the most hated superstar in WWE, it would make sense to have Dom wrestle against Rhea Ripley and possibly cheat to win. Because I don't know how long Rhea Ripley can stay a bad guy. The crowd loves her.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who's okay with like the crowd loving a bad guy, but WWE tends to panic in that situation and go, they like her too much. We've got to make her a good guy. So I don't know how long before they peel Rhea off and not necessarily turn her good, but lay into this idea that like she's not good, she's not bad, she's one of those in-between superstars. Whereas I think Dominic Mysterio at this point has cemented himself. I don't think there's a path where Dominic Mysterio is ever a liked superstar, which is so funny because his dad is one of the most liked superstars.
But in my opinion, like, do you think that it's because they brought him up too early and he wasn't like as prepared as the other wrestlers? Because when I first started watching him, I was disappointed in like his lack of certain abilities because he didn't have that experience like the other people.
Do I think that's why people don't like him? No, I think people don't like Dominic Mysterio because he was booked extremely well. And it's a mixture of what you're saying. His skill set doesn't match the way he's booked, but he was booked so well as a bad guy that the crowd had no choice but to hate him. He's a spoiled fucking kid turning on his dad, turning on his mom, turning on his sister. He's this like submissive kind of little bitch boy who follows Rhea Ripley around, but then acts tough and acts hard. Like the booking in that story was phenomenal. And shout out to Dominic Mysterio for actually going, oh, I can play this character.
It's the hair for me.
Because there was a point in time where I thought, they're going to try and push Dom to be bigger than he is and more talented than he is. But he's actually kind of laid into this position of like, Rhea fights my battles and Rhea's there to, and the Judgment Day kind of protect me, but I still can be cocky and lay into, and he's subtly laying into the Eddie Guerrero stuff, which has been fun. I think the booking on Dominic Mysterio has been superb, and that is why the crowd loves to hate him. I really believe that. Third topic of the day here is, in the current WWE landscape, there appears to be a heavy reliance on title possession. This kind of goes back to what we talked about in topic one. In title possession as a means to establish a wrestler's relevance. Meanwhile, there are several wrestlers primed for a title push. We talked about LA Knight, Damian Priest, Montez Ford, right? Given WWE's stated aim to rewrite the record books with longer title reigns, should wrestlers and WWE creative team members consider alternative strategies to maintain the intrigue in other characters? For example, should they adopt more distinctive gimmicks like The Undertaker, who managed to maintain relevance even without a title reign? Yeah, 100%. This I've shouted this from the rooftop for a long fucking time, right? We need more Undertakers. We need more Mankind. We need more wrestlers that have simplified gimmicks that are identifiable, and not everybody has to be generic wrestler number 32 that wants to be champion.
I want to see the crazy gimmicks.
Well, so you have to have those. The problem is, if every wrestler you have is based in reality and every wrestler you have, their sole purpose is to win a title, then you have a logjam of personality, right? Because everybody just comes out and says, I want that. I want the belt. That's what I want to do. Whereas when you have the crazy guy who lives in the boiler room, Mankind, and you don't really know what his aspirations are, right? And you have the supernatural guy like The Undertaker, there's so much more there than just having to go after a title. What we get right now is a bunch of vanilla Austin Theories. And I know it was Dominic Mysterio. Now Austin Theory's kind of been my target the last couple weeks. But the truth is, when you create these vanilla characters like they've done to Austin Theory, stripped him of everything that gave him gimmick and personality, the IWC falls in love with that shit, right? Because the IWC, what they want is just a bunch of fucking super talented wrestlers who can flip and jump and backflip and do all those things. And those guys, they're just super title hungry. That's what IWC loves. But those guys don't sell shirts. Those guys don't tell compelling stories. Whereas I think casual fans miss. You hear this sentiment, and it's always pinned on older wrestling fans, but I think it just exists in wrestling in general a lot with casual fans of, I miss the Attitude Era. And I don't think people miss the Attitude Era in the way people are like, well, it's 2023. You can't do some of those gimmicks anymore. But I think it was how simplified the characters were and almost how kind of stupid and silly they were at the time, right? And I know I'm going to run down some of these characters, and I will agree that in 2023, some of these don't work, but they could work in a different reference, right? So in the Attitude Era, you had a guy that was a pimp, and he came out with hoes. That was the Godfather.
You showed him to me.
That was extremely easy, recognizable. He didn't have to win titles. People were just there for that moment, and it created something that you remembered when you went home, right? You had a guy that was a porn star named Val Venus who came out, and he pulled his towel off, and the ladies went fucking crazy. And his finishing move was called like the money shot, right?
What did he have under his towel?
Just like,
like the man panties?
The trunks. Yeah, the trunks. But it was the way he did it. But once again, it doesn't have to be a porn star, but it's the simplification of the gimmick, right? It's that there's more to the character than just, I want to be champion. Mm-hmm. And even if it's goofy, it makes sense. Mark Henry was sexual chocolate.
That's crazy to me. I had no idea.
Al Snow carried around a fake mannequin head. And people lose their shit. Because he was just kind of crazy and he would talk to it.
I like that.
And it would give him ideas. Mankind lived in a boiler room. The Undertaker was supernatural. His brother was Kane, who was burned in like a fire. Like there were these stories that went deeper than just generic white wrestler number 32. I want to win the title. That's what wrestling kind of looks like right now. And it's hard to get behind guys when you don't understand the gimmick. The gimmick of pro wrestling is in trouble, right? There were vampires in the Attitude Era. Edge, Christian, and Gangrel were vampires.
That's crazy. I like vampires.
And the entrances were so elaborate. And these, like, that is one part. WWE has this reliance on, like, we have a 50-foot,
we got fireworks.
Yeah, we got fireworks and a 50-foot. Look at my video wall. Look at my video wall, right? It's like, look. When like, the video wall is great, but the wrestlers need a gimmick. Even Randy Orton back in the day was the legend killer. His goal was to dethrone the older legends who were still hanging around professional wrestling. There was, he had intention outside of being the champion. He didn't need to be the champion to be interesting. And right now, there's the reliance on being champion. We just talked about like guys in line who needed. What were you gonna say?
Is there anybody right now?
I literally have who has a gimmick on today's roster.
Damn.
That's literally the question I had next to ask was who has a gimmick on today's roster that is flushed out and that you could get behind and make sense. Viking Raiders.
Yeah,
it's a gimmick. I don't know that it's fleshed out. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense.
Could dig in deeper, I think.
But you know why the Viking Raiders feel so out of place? Because they're the only people in costumes.
I guess that's true.
If there were vampires and other supernatural creatures, Vikings don't seem that fucking silly anymore, right? Mm-hmm. But when Vikings have to go against just regular tag teams all the time, it's a little goofy. Like, it's like, why are these guys Vikings and everybody else is normal?
I think for like what I've experienced of wrestling, Bray Wyatt to me would have been the closest.
We'll get there. I have Judgment Day. That's a gimmick, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they took a bad gimmick. The original gimmick was almost like preachers, and they spun the gimmick into what they wanted it to be. And the gimmick eventually became, this gimmick is so bad that we're going to be fucking silly about it. Uh-huh. And that they made it good, right? Throwing pancakes, throwing cereal, shit like that became the gimmick. And what I don't understand is people came to see that. Fucking unicorn horns and stuff.
Wait, did you say the Judgment Day?
I meant the New Day.
Okay.
The New Day.
You confused me for a minute.
I meant the New Day. Like, if I said Judgment Day, I meant the New Day.
All right, cool.
Okay. The Judgment Day was originally going to be a gimmick, but that's not like that gimmick absolutely makes no fucking sense because they're not supernatural. They don't have like they're just, to me, they're just four people who kind of hang out together.
And have really good parties, apparently.
Yeah, right? They always talk about their parties. Imperium, that's like... So what it feels like to me is factions, these groups of people, have this like loose gimmick that kind of holds them all together. But let's talk about single stars.
Okay.
Let's talk like... Give me a single star outside of, you said Bray Wyatt, which is one, but look... They fucking like, they can't follow through with that because they don't know what to do. And the reason they don't know what to do is like the Viking Raiders, when you have one guy who has a gimmick and it's a little farther out than everybody who's so based in reality, that guy looks like an outlier and looks crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd say out of everybody on the WWE roster right now, Seth Rollins is the most impressive gimmick wrestler they have, because he's able to be gimmicky enough, but stay within that realm of reality. He continues to change his character, like, right, the Architect. He's had other ones, the Messiah, the Monday Night Messiah.
I like that
He's continued to evolve his character, and he's definitely playing a character.
Yes.
Right? Whereas, like, you don't, with Austin Theory now just feels like that's probably just an extension of who he is. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, the cell phone thing felt like he's playing a character. It's funny. Asuka kind of had a gimmick, but like this last week, she came out in fucking slacks and like a button-up shirt. So they've almost removed the gimmick away from Asuka,
which is dumb. Where she was made her.
She was gonna come back as like this killer clown kind of fucking character, and now she's out there with Bianca in slacks and a button-up shirt.
Was it just too scary for the kids?
No, I just think they can't commit to like making it make sense, right? They can't tell. They're afraid. The WWE is afraid to step into supernatural for some reason right now. It's like they're trying to stay away from anything that seems like beyond real belief. And I wonder if it's because they want to be labeled sports and not in, like, you know, they want to fall into the sports division and not like the entertainment side of like professional wrestling. Even though they call themselves, you know, an entertainment company. Karrion Kross.
Oh, yeah.
But once again, he's got a gimmick, but they don't let him act upon that gimmick. How cool would Karrion Kross's gimmick be if he actually was taking out people of meaning, right? A cool gimmick for Karrion Kross would be the TikTok, hey, this guy looks like he's ascending. He's about to, you know, win a world championship. And all of a sudden, Karrion Kross appears, and Karrion Kross is kind of a spoiler of big moments.
Oh, that would be cool.
That would be a cool gimmick for somebody. But right now, we don't have a Mankind, an Undertaker. Bray Wyatt, you said. I think,
but even then, I remember Bray Wyatt from the faction, right? That would have been a faction, the group of like Sister Abigail and stuff like that.
That was one of the last really good gimmick factions that existed, like that were very in character. And I think that's a problem for Bray Wyatt. I think we're going to talk about Bray Wyatt in a little bit, but I think that is part of the issue of why he's struggling to get back in, is because he still has that old school mentality of like, we have to create these characters, whereas like WWE is kind of laying into, but it's got to be built in some realism, right? Damian Priest feels like somebody who could have the perfect Undertaker vibe, but they just like, it's like they won't like, his name is Damian Priest. It is literally the push and pull between good and evil, and you're telling me that you can't simplify that character down and create the gimmick in that. It doesn't make sense to me. But that leads into my fourth topic. Because I sit and I bash WWE, then I'm gonna turn around and say, hey, I think maybe they're listening and they're onto something here. Okay. So recently on Monday Night Raw, it seemed that WWE has simplified the Kevin Owens character. I don't know if you saw it, but it seems like Kevin Owens now just wants to fucking fight. Yeah. Like that is the Kevin Owens character. Just don't talk, let's fight, which I love, right? Mm-hmm. You simplify down a character who had too much going on, right? There was too much of this like, I'm mad at Sami, I'm mad at the bloodline. That's cool, that's great. And if you follow wrestling every week, super hardcore, you can stay with the nuances of the story. But if you don't, and you just turn it on and you see this guy who goes, I don't want to talk, I want to fight.
Yeah.
It works. Like that character works. So do you believe that the WWE would benefit from taking half of the roster and just dumbing down their characters and simplifying the gimmicks?
Yeah, because sometimes I don't even understand what they're trying to do with certain things. Like either I'm just like dumb or it's just overcomplicated and confusing.
Wrestling's supposed to be simple. Whoever told all these creative people in wrestling, and the problem is they're getting them from Marvel movies and shit like that, but whoever told them that wrestling fans want these big, elaborate, intricate wrestling's supposed to be simple. There's a good, there's an evil, and you could create some characters around that, and that's all we want. Hey, this guy likes to fight, he'll fight, right? How about Nikki Cross? This character who is set up to be the crazy person and is hardly ever crazy.
Right. I thought I was like just like making that up in my head.
Or you have Austin Theory, who still is a douchebag, but we've just taken away all the things that just screamed douchebag. I mean, he still does a lot of the stuff that he did, but it's like a lot of times when you're creating a character for podcast, for TV, for radio, the first thing you're taught is find your audience, create your persona, and then fucking crank that thing up to 11, right? And it feels like with WWE, they go, oh, Theory's at 11, we got to turn him down to 4. He's annoying people. But he's annoying people in the right way. He's a bad guy. That's what he's supposed to do, right? KO, a guy who wants to fight, let's just have him want to fight all the time. That's going to get over with the crowd. I said a missed opportunity in WWE was Baron Corbin, when Corbin went from bum-ass Corbin to happy Corbin, and the story was he won big in Vegas. He was rich now. He's a wrestling god. JBL was his manager. The play with Corbin was to take that gimmick. Corbin should have paid people to lose.
That would have been kind of cool.
So it should have been, hey, Corbin's about to fight so-and-so. Here's money. Go out there. They fall down on their back. He pins them. He wins.
He's rich now.
Exactly. And it should have been that Corbin spent so much money that he got above where he could pay people, finally runs out of money. Now he can't win wrestling matches. There's a story arc. It's simplified. It's stupid, but it works because...
I like it.
Well, but it works because other than Corbin being bum-ass Corbin, going to Vegas, winning money, what did that matter? What did that matter in the evolution of Baron Corbin?
Nothing.
Nothing. Having money meant nothing. unless you find a alternative reason for story, it doesn't make sense. So, I mean, I said a long time ago, Corbin and JBL should have been making backroom deals for Corbin to win a title.
That's true. You did tell me that. I remember that.
Karrion Kross, I told you, should be a hitman. He should, it should look like Drew McIntyre's about to get a chance to fight against Roman Reigns. Boom, lights go off. There's Karrion Kross. Right. He ruins the moment. That then starts a story with Drew McIntyre, right? That's simple booking. Riddle, even someone like Riddle should be leaning into lean super heavy into the pothead.
Which he did for a while, and then I feel like
but they fall off, right? Back. So when he was doing the bongos, people love that shit. And then it's like they go, that's too silly. But some guys might have to be silly.
That is honestly when they did the whole RK Bro thing, and then Randy wasn't there anymore. I kind of didn't like him as much, but then he started getting the bongos
he lost
and stuff
purpose.
Like that.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And then I kind of was like,
but you could even lean into the MMA aspects of Riddle.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to do the weed stuff and the bro stuff, you could lean heavily into this. Riddle wants to fight more like a UFC guy, and he wants to tap people out. But there's just these characters become kind of ambiguous. What makes Riddle Riddle? He says, bro, he kicks off his flip-flops. Let's lay into that. Let's dumb it down even. Let's simplify it even more, and it'll work. I feel look at Mustafa Ali, someone who was absolutely boring. And I don't know if they did this by design or if Mustafa just finally got so tired, but this dumbed down character of Captain Positivity, it's made him a little bit likable. He's funny.
It always reminds me a little bit of Believe.
I agree.
Bo Dallas.
I agree.
That's what it reminded me of.
I agree. How about Chad Gable?
I don't understand.
Okay, but let's talk about. There was a minute, and you've said this when they were doing the academic games, and he was
loved him.
The thank you and the
I mean, how many times did we just sit there and talk to each other and be like, thank you?
How funny he was, and how dumb down that gimmick was. What was Chad Gable's gimmick? He was a fucking smart guy. He was an Olympian and a smart guy and a scholar, and it worked because Otis was his big dumb guy. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they forget what the gimmick is, and then the Alpha Academy just became generic tag team. Tag team for people to beat. But there was a moment in time where people were losing their shit for Chad Gable.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why they can't simplify that tag team and go simple, fun,
he was
works.
Shorty G.
Shorty
right?
G, yeah.
And I didn't like him then at all.
No, but he was trying to find his character then. I get it. He was going through iterations.
But when he became Chad Gable, I was like, I like him.
A whole new person. He became a whole new person.
Yeah.
Same with LA Knight though, right? Mm-hmm. LA Knight has, one of the reasons people gravitate to LA Knight, he has a clear gimmick. He talks in the third person, even if it feels like a combination of The Rock, Stone Cold, certain people that we remember from our past. It's at least a flushed out enough character that LA Knight feels separate from every other person on the roster, right? You go like Riddick Moss, Austin Theory. I mean, you can just, I don't mean to make it racial, but there's just a list of generic fucking white guys on the roster that all kind of look alike and all kind of wrestle alike. And maybe they have different music and a different name, but you really can't, in the Battle Royal, you can't, nothing makes them special. Like when you had Kane and The Undertaker, you knew there was something different in the ring when those guys got in the ring, right? But go down the roster if you're WWE. Just grab a roster sheet and go, this guy's struggling, simplify. This girl's struggling, simplify. Simplify Nikki Cross, Carmella. Carmella's the best when she was wearing the mask, when it's the don't touch my face. That's when Carmella's the mask. When you start trying to make us believe that Carmella is just credibly going to beat up Rhea Ripley, it doesn't work anymore. It's the same for Dana Brooke. Simplify her character. Natalya, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but at least she tried to put on a beret for a hot minute.
Oh, I hated
right?
the beret.
But you got to simplify those characters, and I think it can work. But what you can't do is you can't have guys like the Viking Raiders who have a gimmick. They're Vikings, and Vikings are supposed to be real badass, and then one week they get beat up by the guys that are unicorns.
Yeah.
That doesn't like you got to protect the gimmick longer than that.
So last, I have a random question. What about entrances? Were entrances like a spectacle?
Yes, 100%. They now have a big video wall, and that's what they rely on.
Uh-huh.
Who has the best entrance right now? Karrion Kross.
Yeah,
because it's theatrical. I mean, and by best I mean
black and white. Because like even when I watch on TV, what I'm really looking for is like the things that pop up, like the Roman Reigns and stuff like that.
There's no Undertaker, right?
No.
Bray Wyatt's is a spectacle.
Yeah, but
I mean, he's fucking gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, there's just it's like. Who? Seth Rollins? But Seth Rollins made his what it is
because of his song
and because of the dancing and stuff. He elevated his entrance. It's not thanks to like theatrics or pyro.
Like,
or
didn't people
cool.
Just like come up through the floor?
Yeah,
and stuff like that?
Gangrel, Edge, and but they don't have a stage is one thing for shit like that, right? Now they come out on a flat floor. They used to be elevated. Like Rey Mysterio used to fucking shoot up through the ground.
Damn.
He'd fucking fly up, land, and booyaka.
They should have somebody come down like on
throw his hand over there.
Line.
Fucking Rey Mysterio throw his hand over there. Fireworks come up. He throw his hand over there.
Does that really happen?
Yes. Rey Mysterio's entrance used to be so badass.
I missed out on so much.
You did. Like they've dumbed down. It feels like it wants to be UFC. They want it to feel like a real fight. Like, oh, this is just walkout music. But the problem is people enjoy the spectacle. Even the Viking Raiders for a while, if you remember, started having where the lights would go off and it would go red and go like, and now what? They're just 90% of the time, they're just fucking come out of commercial and the Vikings are there. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's missed opportunities. Fifth topic here.
Right.
The standard format for a Night of Champions pay-per-view event has typically involved the defense of most or all of the WWE titles. However, it currently appears that Roman Reigns may not be defending his undisputed world title. What is your take on Reigns competing instead for the tag team titles? Is this a refreshing deviation or just another instance of the Bloodline story overshadowing the rest of the roster? It can be both. It can be refreshing while it's the Bloodline constantly causing a holdup in everything else that's going on in WWE. So you have Roman Reigns in a tag match, which means we don't know for sure he's going to win. Anybody else, you put him in the ring with anybody else, we know 100% he's not losing at Night of Champions. So that match is a throwaway match. If you put Roman Reigns in the ring with Rey Mysterio, we know 100% you just mark it off on the card. So what they've done effectively is more than likely Roman's not winning this match, right? There's very unlikely that Roman Reigns walks out now holding 2 world titles and a set of tag team titles.
Or could he?
If he's holding 4 fucking belts come the Friday after Night of Champions, I'm done.
Could you just imagine
I'm
that?
done.
Like...
They're just draped on his arms. But I think there's no chance. But the problem is, this is what WWE created. The Bloodline dominates all the stories at this point in WWE. This is the hole that they've dug. So they have to lay into it at this point. There's no getting around it. And I mean, tell me, who could you credibly put in the ring right now? You have your choice. Any person in the world, you put him in the ring with Roman Reigns, and the fans will believe there's a 5% chance he wins.
It would have been Brock Lesnar for me, but
you can't do that again. I mean, you're not. People will roll their eyes if you do Brock Lesnar again. I mean,
they haven't built up anybody enough right now.
It's not even about building up. It's that it's at this point, it's obvious Roman's not losing the belt until WrestleMania.
Daddy Roman's keeping it for a long time.
He's just going to hold it. The event has to be at this, like the Cody thing was so built up, and that was like your get off exit. You could have took it away there, but now you've created the spectacle of like, it's not going to be SummerSlam. It's not going to be Survivor Series. It's not going to be Royal Rumble. The only place that Roman Reigns can lose a title now is at WrestleMania. That's it. That's the only. So we got to know we're on this fucking train until WrestleMania next year. And at this point, we're pretty reclined to, like, that's what I was gonna say, right? Who are the names? Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, and The Rock. Yeah. Those are like the 4 names that I'm comfortable saying out loud that I think if those guys are in a match with Roman Reigns, I go, there's a 5% chance they're going to win. Still don't believe it if it's not WrestleMania. But those are the only names that matters. And it's going to be on a gigantic stage. There's no other event. But what's not being talked about enough out of this Bloodline stuff is you have to look for like silver lining, right?
Okay.
The silver lining is the Bloodline are creating a babyface Uso team, which will pay off in the end. You're going to get a good guy version of the Usos coming out of all of this Roman kind of beating them down.
Yeah.
So for all of the because Roman Reigns is 100% now holding up the tag team division. Right? He's been holding up the world heavyweight division, but now he's also holding up the tag team division because at least for the next 2 weeks, we know the tag team belts stay on KO and Sami Zayn, and we know that that's who they're fighting, and we know that that's not a long-term story in the tag team division. That is just a story invented to create more dissension between the Usos and the Bloodline. Now here's the thing we talk about. This is Night of Champions. This is when all the title belts are supposed to be defended. And what WWE is basically settled on is the World Heavyweight title is enough. This new belt. I think that based on the pleasant reception that fans have kind of overwhelmingly said, oh, we like this idea, we like this belt. I don't think that we're going to get the big Roman Reigns celebration that we thought we were going to get at Night of Champions. I don't think that Roman Reigns is going to be the main event at Night of Champions. Mark that down. I just don't think, for Roman typically is the last person you see on a show. I think that the World Heavyweight Championship, this new title, is what main events Night of Champions. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, because I think the last optic that WWE should want to see is Seth Rollins holding that belt up as your new champion and as the guy that for the next at least year, that's the guy who's going to be main eventing most of your premium live events because that's going to be the big belt. Roman's going to show up. They're talking about Roman taking an even more modified schedule. And I've seen people go, well, that means he's going to drop the belt. No, it doesn't. It just means that he is going to become this spectacle that shows up 3 times a year. He doesn't have to be at every event. That's
when
what it's,
he is there, it sells the ticket.
It's a big deal. And now that you have the World Heavyweight Championship, that belt will be the main event on all of these in-between premium live events. And the world of wrestling will continue to roll forward. So I'm telling you, Roman will not main event Night of Champions. They can call it co-main event or whatever they want, but he won't be the last match of the night. So let's look at what the card looks like right now for Night of Champions, right? Mustafa Ali and Gunther. We know who's winning that match. We know why that match was made. This is the complaint about Saudi Arabia, right? Yeah. This is we're going to Saudi Arabia. We got to put Mustafa Ali in a match. It's fresh. It works. He's not beating Gunther. So mark that down. We know what's happening there. Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Love AJ Styles. But Seth Rollins is the guy they're putting this title on. Yeah. This belt was designed for Seth Rollins. Seth hasn't had a belt in I know he had the United States title, but I'm talking about a legitimate big-time championship in a long time. It's Seth's time. He's so over with the crowd. He's winning that match. Roman and Solo versus KO and Sami. I can't tell you who wins. I can tell you that it's either disqualification, but the belt is going home with KO and Sami. Definitely. It's not. There's a part of me that thinks this match doesn't make it to Night of Champions. Like something happens. That something happens before, and Sami doesn't actually go. I believe that's still on the table.
Yeah, that's crazy to me that he's going.
Cody versus Brock 2. This could go either way because if Brock Lesnar wins this match, that means there's going to be a third match at SummerSlam probably. Okay. So that makes sense.
That makes a little sense, yeah.
I think that, though, it's Cody Rhodes is going to win this match, and they're going to be done with the Brock and Cody story. You have Becky versus Trish Stratus. Okay, that's kind of, I guess, I don't know. It depends on how long. It depends on how long they're trying to drag these things out. But I will tell you, what I can tell you, this isn't going to be Backlash. It's not going to be a fun show like Backlash. This is a more WWE by the books premium live event. Whereas Backlash was just a fucking party, right? It was no expectations, Bad Bunny, Damian Priest, let's go blow the lid off this fucking place and have fun. That's not what this is going to be. Like, the other match possibilities are Rhea Ripley versus Natty. Okay. I mean, does anybody really that invested in that? Bianca Belair versus Asuka again. Is anybody really that invested in that? Austin Theory versus question mark, because you're 1 week out and he really doesn't have anybody that he's locked in with. And let me run this past you. Night of Champions, as of right now, outside of a possible Rhea Ripley match, has 0 Judgment Day presence.
Oh, that's crazy.
No Damian Priest, no Finn Balor, and no Dominic Mysterio.
Why no Dom? Do they not like him over there?
I just think it's the way the stories have played out. I think they completely botched the Dom and Ray story, and it just kind of, like, if that's the way that was meant to end, what a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's no big surprise moment on Night of Champions card, as far as I can see right now. Very doubtful that any titles change, right? What, Bianca most in danger?
I don't think that
if Austin Theory's on the card, he's most in danger. But right now, he's not on the card. Bianca most in danger?
No.
Most in danger.
Yeah, okay.
I'm with you. I don't think there's any because they've started to say. When she comes out, they've started to say the longest modern reigning women's champion.
That's all I hear.
Mm-hmm. So I'm with you too. I don't think so.
Side note: this is like kind of random, but like now every time that I hear Becky Lynch talk, I just hear that
she does
stands out to me
because
it was that last. I don't remember when she did it, but it was like really, really prevalent. And then this last
one night where she was just like going in on her promo. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Gunther's not dropping.
No. So I mean, so I'm not going to be mean, but like, I don't like to know that I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and even if there's some swerves, it feels like it's pretty set in stone.
I want to be surprised, WWE.
It feels like we have to just be content with, like, we're going to get a new World Heavyweight Champion. We're going to know who that champion is, even though, I mean, I would say, I haven't looked at betting odds, but I would say Seth Rollins is a heavy, heavy favorite.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again for the most electrifying segment in podcast history. Welcome to Name This Tag Team. Each week, I present 2 random WWE superstars, and it is up to you, the amazing listeners, to come up with a creative and unforgettable name for the new tag team. Submit your suggestions on our Discord channel, #NameThisTeam, and make sure to tune into the following episode when we reveal the winning team name. Lauren, here are the 5 best tag team names that I saw last week. You get to make the final call. I did get a complaint.
What?
I got a complaint. Not about you, about me. I was pulling all of the names from Discord. Mm-hmm. There are some people who use YouTube to give names. There's some people who do it through like direct messaging. Uh-huh. There's some people who do it on Spotify. So this week I've pulled names from multiple locations, and I haven't just gone to our bucket of Discord to pull these names. Okay, so last week I presented you the team of Brock Lesnar and Bad Bunny. Mm-hmm. All right, so our first name here is The Beast in Carrots.
Okay.
Now, that is a play on the Beast Incarnate of Brock Lesnar. So, yes. The Beast in Carrots. We have the F5 Bunny.
Okay, because that's his move.
Okay. We have Brock and Roll.
Okay, I like that.
We have Suplex de la San Juan.
Okay.
What is that? So help me.
Like Suplex City. De la San Juan is a city. Like
so it would be like Suplex of San Juan?
Yes.
Okay. And
that's Spanish coming in handy.
Then we have Nobody Wants to Mess with Us. Oh. All right, so you got
Wait, I don't know what the mess with us part is for, but I just kind of like it.
So No Bunny would be like
Bad Bunny.
Yeah, and then who wants to mess with Brock Lesnar?
I guess that's true.
Like, nobody wants to mess with us.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's eliminate. Let's not just jump in like you always do. Eliminate. So who's the first to go here?
Okay, so
we got Beast and Carrots.
Okay.
The F5 Bunny. Uh-huh. Brock and Roll.
Okay.
Suplex de la San Juan, and Nobody Wants to Mess with Us.
I like Nobody Wants to Mess with Us, but I'm gonna strike.
All right, so you're dropping that. What are you dropping next?
There's the F5 Bunny, right?
Uh-huh.
The Beast and Carrots.
Okay.
Oh, Carrots, bunny.
Yeah, you just caught that?
Yes.
And so instead of the beast incarnate, it's the beast in carrot.
I was like, what do carrots have to do with bunnies? Okay. Rock and roll. What is the roll part?
Bad Bunny's a musician. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Okay.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. I don't like that one.
All right, so rock and roll's
cool,
gone.
but I'm gonna like.
That was actually one of my favorites.
Really? Well, that's
I actually like rock and roll.
Okay.
So we're stuck now. So wait, what's left? What have you eliminated? Beast and carrots.
Beast and carrots is left.
F5 bunny, is that gone?
San Juan. No, the F5 bunny is still there.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut the beast and carrots.
Okay, so we're down to the F5 bunny and Suplex de la San Juan. This is not where I saw this going. All right, what are you going? Pick us a winner.
Serious today, like a sophisticated person.
You're swerving everybody.
Sophisticated lady.
So where are you going?
So I like the F5 bunny. It kind of reminds me of the house bunny, so I kind of like that.
Okay.
Suplex de la San Juan. I'm gonna go with mi gente.
So you're going Suplex de la San Juan?
Yes, because it's actually kind of smart. Because it's Suplex City.
So Stargaze87 from YouTube hit us with Suplex de la San Juan. I like it. It's clever. The Suplex of San Juan.
That was like a really smart.
Like deep. It was kind of.
Liked it.
All right. So this week's tag team, Lauren.
Okay.
This should breed some fun here. My guy, LA Knight.
You.
And The Miz.
Ooh, wow.
I feel like that's a team made in heaven.
There's
I feel like right now,
fun things you could come
I feel
out with
like
that.
instead of LA Knight being booked with Rick Boogs, The Miz has nothing better to do. Let's tag team up LA Knight and The Miz and create like some superstardom. All right, let's talk about some news here.
Okay.
First headline is Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler back in the women's title hunt after their Raw return. With Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler returning to WWE programming and targeting the women's tag team champions, how do you think this will impact the current dynamics of the division? Also, additionally, considering Liv Morgan is injured, should WWE strip Liv and Raquel of the titles or wait for Liv Morgan to recover? You gotta fucking wait for her to recover, right? You have nobody else.
How long is she out for?
I don't think it's major. I think I read today that it's a
is
short.
it like a real injury?
Yeah, I think she's really injured.
Injury.
I think she's really injured. I think it's probably a 1 or 2 week thing, but they don't have any other choice. They've done such a piss poor job of booking the women's division and booking the women's tag team division that it's a fucking mess right now. I still stand by the thing I said like a couple months ago. Every woman in WWE should be paired up with another woman to create a tag team for the time being. Everyone.
Have your best friend.
Yeah, it's just like, grab another person, create a team, create a cohesive unit, and build that division up. That's the only way you're going to build credibility. You could have Becky and Lita continue to be a tag team. Even while they can be doing separate things, but there's always the idea that they can come back together.
Well, there's always somebody there to watch your back and to like follow on.
Bianca Belair and Michin, right? Just for some reason, have them come together and be a tag team. Charlotte and Lacey Evans. Pair up these people who have spotlight with people who have less of a spotlight.
That's a good combination, actually.
Which one?
I like that. The Charlotte and Lacey Evans.
Well, they're both kind of bad guy blondes is what they are.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that you can rub off a little bit of the heat from the people who are like Becky Lynch, the people who are like Bianca Belair, the people who are Charlotte can rub off on the Lacey Evans, on the Michins, and develop a tag team division where each week, even if someone's involved in a singles push, you can call upon a team of like Bianca and Michin to have a tag team match to give some validity to that division. Now, I know we have some NXT tag teams that were called up, but I don't think they're ready. And if you throw them into the spotlight immediately, that's a bad decision. Right now, there's absolutely nobody. Because look, I said this before WrestleMania. The path that we were on is headed towards Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey being tag team champions. They were going to be the champions until they got hurt. Liv and Raquel were placeholders. It worked out perfectly because outside of them, who else do you have? And so you can't strip them. You don't have enough tag teams to throw together a tournament without just going, hey, you two random people come here. So you've got to take some time to build it up. And what you can't do is continue to put fucking Natalya and Shotzi as a tag team and make them have 575, tag team matches that make no sense. Like you can't do that every 6 months. So the talent is all there in the women's division. They've just got to cultivate it. They've got to let it grow and grow into some fucking roots that people can get behind. Tag team these people up. Put two people together. Give them theme songs that are for the pair, right? Take some time to brand them.
Matching outfits.
I have it written right there. Team people up. Give them a joint theme song like you give a shit, and give them matching gear. That creates people giving a shit about your tag team vision. You know what they don't care about is when you throw two random people into a tag team and it looks like they're only there for that week. They're going to have to create contenders, especially not just in the tag team division. Look at the forecast for Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. There is no credible, outside of Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, there's no credible threats to either one of those women. And it's just been a piss. There are people. Nikki Cross could be a credible threat if you allowed her to be crazy in a wild card and you dumb down her gimmick. But they've got problems in the women's division. So no, to answer that question, you don't just you wait. However long you have to wait, you wait for Liv and Raquel, because you're gonna have to get at least 3 weeks out of that story between Ronda, Shayna, Liv, and Raquel. Next headline is John Cena says Roman Reigns may be the greatest of all time. So John Cena recently stated that Roman Reigns should be considered as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Do you guys agree with Cena's assessment of Roman Reigns' impact and achievements in WWE? How do you think Reigns' unique approach to his career, particularly his selective appearances and his influence on the bloodline, contributed to his legacy in professional wrestling? All right, Lauren, so I think on this one, you got to take a step back. Everybody who's listening has to take a step back, because the immediate overreaction from everybody is, oh, fuck Roman Reigns, he's not the best. But you have to be objective. You have to look, and you have to sit out and lay out a list of every possible person who could be in the conversation to be the GOAT, greatest of all time, right? So take personal bias aside, take apart the things you don't like about him personally. Let's just talk about professional wrestling. So I'm gonna say 10 names. I'm gonna list off 10 names here. And I don't want people to overreact. Just sit back, be objective. I have 10 names that make it into the list, no particular order. Hulk Hogan. Okay? I think he's in the discussion for greatest of all time. Known for bringing wrestling into mainstream popularity in the 1980s. He's one of the most recognizable professional wrestlers in the world. Most people know who Hulk Hogan is. Okay? Ric Flair. Ric Flair, 16-time world champion, Nature Boy, regarded as one of the greatest in charisma, promo, ring ability. He kind of had it all. Okay? Stone Cold Steve Austin's my 3. And this is not particular order, just the third name. Was basically the anchor of the Attitude Era. His rebellious character resonated with every fucking fan worldwide. And he basically took wrestling from this kind of gimmicky thing that happened to when the Attitude Era, it was in elementary schools, it was in middle schools, it was in high schools, grown men loved it. I didn't
know what wrestling was. He's the Suck It, right?
No.
No?
Suck It was Triple H and DX. Oh. Stone Cold was there was Austin 316 shirts.
Okay, yes.
Those would have been Stone Cold. And so those were
I wasn't into wrestling then, but I had a lot of kids in school
it went around school, right?
Yeah.
And so the counter to Stone Cold is The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's got to be in the conversation at least. He was the anti-Stone Cold. He was the charismatic, loud, but they were yin and yang in the Attitude Era. Then you got to jump forward and you got to go John Cena. John Cena's held the WWE title more than any other person as far as number of times. He was the face of WWE for a long time, and he's the biggest merchandise mover of all time in professional wrestling.
So fun fact, today I went to a career day, right?
Someone had a John Cena shirt on?
I asked people do you know about WWE? And that was just one of the questions they asked, and they're like, yeah, John Cena. And I was like, he's not even on TV that much anymore.
We were walking home from school with our girls the other day, and there were little kids reenacting John Cena.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because you'd have to know who he was.
Exactly. So then from there, I go Undertaker. I think out of respect, you put him in the conversation. I don't think legitimately he's really in the conversation for greatest of all time, but his longevity puts him in there. Same thing I'd say with Andre the Giant. Both Andre and The Undertaker, they're kind of spectacles that people came to see, but I don't think a lot of people would make arguments that they're the greatest of all time. Then you go to Bruno Sammartino, and this is that fucking, it gets thrown into every sports conversation, right? When you're talking about greatest of all time, you have one asshole who goes, in 1942, John Havlicek scored. It's like, yeah, but like talent. I live on a belief system that like every year that sports evolve, the players get better. Wrestling, basketball, football. So while it's even unfair to make the comparison, right, of like Michael Jordan to LeBron James, but for podcasting, for sports, for debate shows, it's what you have to do because it's fun and it's what gets attention and people like to do it. But the reality is you can't compare Bruno Sammartino to Roman Reigns. It's different time. Bruno Sammartino held the title for 11 years. Because it was more like a traveling circus and less like, it was less a weekly thing that was viewed by the same people.
How long ago did he wrestle?
I don't know the exact years of Bruno.
It was like
Sammartino.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
I'm fucking, this will make me sound stupid. I think it was in black and white. Like a lot of it feels like it was in black and white. So I get it. Anybody who says Bruno Sammartino is the greatest wrestler of all time, I'm not going to argue, but I'm probably not going to hold a long conversation with you about that. Mm-hmm. Then we jump to who I've regarded for a long time as my GOAT of professional wrestling, and this is super controversial. Jay Knows Wrestling always used to laugh and make fun of my answer.
I know what you're going to say.
It's Chris Jericho.
Yes.
And Chris Jericho I go off of because of longevity, because of creativity. Like, I don't know if you look in-ring skills, he has it, right? Charisma, he has it.
Yeah.
Mic skills has it. Like everything he has, it's exists, and he's done it through 3 different companies.
That's crazy.
He did it through WCW, WWE, through the Attitude Era, past the Attitude Era into what is more modern era, then went to AEW and completely recreated himself in AEW, all while also getting over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So really 4 companies that he's kind of done it for, but New Japan doesn't usually get recognized for that. But so that's kind of the name that I've always thrown around. But the 10th name is Roman Reigns, longest modern day wrestling champion, and it's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with him not being the greatest of all time when, number one, he's not done.
True.
Like, we can talk about, he's slowing down, but I don't think he's slowing down. I think what WWE is doing right now with Roman Reigns, they're conditioning us to be okay with Roman leaving for 3 months at a time and then coming back and putting on these big spectacle matches. Lauren, how long does it take to film a movie?
I don't know, like
8 weeks.
Months?
8 to 12 weeks.
Damn. That's fast.
That's how long he's missing these little gaps. So Roman could easily take breaks from WWE, film a movie, promote the movie, come back for a big one-off match, then go do another movie. There is no reason with the schedule that they've given Roman Reigns that he can't do this for the next 5 years.
True.
He just, he's going to have to work that into contracts where he says, I'm still a wrestler. Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing with like The Rock, right? Is the insurance and the people going, it's a liability to get in the ring. But I think if it's worked into his contract, he could definitely continue to do this for 4 or 5 more years. And who knows how long they really want to keep some form of that title around Roman Reigns. So I can make the argument for Roman Reigns being the greatest wrestler of all time. I've done it before. I have YouTube videos up that are literally labeled Roman Reigns is the greatest of all time. And I think that there might have been some hyperbole when I was doing that before.
Yeah.
But I really can make the argument now based on in a time where like everybody wants everything to change so quickly. Look at TikTok, right? It's fucking 10-second videos just scrolling through. For Roman to do this now going on 3 or 4 years.
Has it been that long?
Just seems insane. We're coming up on 1,000 days.
That's crazy.
I mean, we're coming up on 1,000 days. I saw pictures the other day of Roman Reigns when he first won the title to now, and like his beard was black And now it's got patches of gray.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long Roman Reigns has been champion.
That's crazy. That's really crazy when you think about that.
Headline here: reason why WWE had no presence at the NBC, Universal, and Fox upfront presentations. So WWE was noticeably absent from the recent upfront presentations by both NBCU and Fox networks. According to sources, this is because WWE programming is housed under the sports divisions of both of these companies, while the presentations were produced by the entertainment divisions. Considering WWE's significant deals with both broadcasting companies, do you think this separation of divisions affects WWE's visibility and overall brand perception? I think it's interesting that WWE falls under sports when, they try so hard to brand themselves as an entertainment. We're World Wrestling Entertainment. These are superstars. These aren't athletes. These aren't wrestlers. They're superstars. So I think it's funny that while WWE tries to brand one way, the message isn't received with the networks. They go, this falls in our sports division. And I get it. It's a little bit like live sports, but to me, wrestling is more like a soap opera and Circus Soleil than it is like Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. So I think it's interesting. I think, I don't know the inner workings of like television networks, and I won't pretend to know it, but I do think that these networks might be a little cautious after the deal between WWE and Endeavor, that Endeavor has some relationships with ESPN and Disney. And so it feels like these networks might be bracing themselves for the moment that Endeavor goes, oh, WWE is now on Disney Plus, right? And WWE is now a part of ESPN, and we have reality shows and ESPN Plus and everything kind of like UFC.
I'd watch the reality shows. I
agree. We've talked about that. So I don't know what to make of this. Not that I even really care. I just thought it was an interesting story. Lauren, headline here: Bray Wyatt is absent from WWE's internal rosters. So Bray Wyatt's status in WWE remains uncertain as he has been off of television now for several months. That's crazy. It's been months.
Has it really?
And is not listed on WWE's internal talent rosters. What are your thoughts on his absence, and how does that impact the WWE? So I will say the story has since been updated since I first read it. And there's reports that he's being left off the roster because of injury.
Oh, okay.
So he's just not listed as like available talent. I'm still calling bullshit on this. I don't know that when they claim unclassified injury, they won't classify what it is. To me, that sounds like bullshit. They don't have
to commit to an injury.
Well, it sounds like there's something deeper going on. But quite bigger question I ask at this point is, what impact does it have on WWE? What value at this point in time does Bray Wyatt provide to WWE, right? Because we did the big, it's the same thing, and I'll make this argument in a minute for CM Punk. We did the big comeback, right? We did the 6 months of Follow the Fucking Rabbit. We did all that shit. Yeah. And so that we're kind of exhausted. And so now what? You're going to repackage him and bring him back again? We saw him in the Mountain Dew match. He wasn't that impressive. I think you took a bathroom break, honestly.
Oh, yes,
during that
did.
match,
actually,
right?
Yeah, I was like, I'll be right back.
Like, so.
And I came back and there was neon everywhere.
And we were teased of like the Rambling Rabbit and all these other characters, and it looks like
none of it came to like fruition.
And it looks like it never will. I mean, it looks to me like from everything I read is they want to repackage Bray Wyatt back to being the Fiend after he sat around and said, "I'll never go back to an old gimmick. I'll never do something that I used to do." And now it looks like he may be positioned to do that. Like I said earlier, I think one of the biggest problems for Bray Wyatt is Bray Wyatt still sees wrestling like the Attitude Era, and he wants to create compelling stories with these over-the-top characters, which would be great. I think if they let him do it, it would work. But I think there's a push and pull within creative to be like, you got to ground this more. This doesn't jive with our Austin theories. This doesn't work. Sense. Yeah, this doesn't mesh with it, like these certain things. And so I think that he becomes frustrated, and I think he's a high emotion guy. I think he's a guy who probably rides the roller coaster, right? When he's on top, feels good. When it's not, he's in depression. He don't want to fucking be there. And I think right now we're in that lull of like, he's stomping his feet saying, you didn't let me do what I wanted to do. And so the problem with that is, I think at this point, a lot of people view him as a little bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I think there's a perception that Bray Wyatt is a little bit of a joke, right? they did all of this 6-month mysteries
For what?
to lead up to a branded match of Mountain Dew, and then he just disappeared. How do you explain that away? You can't. What we can't fucking do, and what they probably will do, is we can't 3 weeks from now just have a fucking QR code pop up. Like I'm fucking.
If they do, I'm not
scanning the motherfucker. We're not doing that again. If Bray Wyatt comes back,
bring him back. Tell me what he is
exactly,
and I'll be good.
I mean, that's exactly right. Right. I just like, I think he had an idea. I think when he sat down originally to come back, he's like, look, I have a plan. 6 characters. It's going to work like this. And I think they were probably like, oh, no, that sounds good, Bray. Who do you want? And he probably gave them a list of 6 characters. And they looked at the characters and they go, oh, we're not hiring all these fucking people. We're not like, what are we going to do with these guys if this doesn't work?
Yeah.
And so I think, he wanted some of these indie wrestlers and friends of his. And I think that WWE, once he was signed and kind of back in, they go, oh, by the way, we're not going to get all those people. So then he has this cast of characters and they're like, well, maybe we'll cast it internally. And when it doesn't play out the way they want it to, I think at Elimination Chamber, right, Royal Rumble, I think they were just like, we're going to go in a different direction, Bray. And he probably threw a fucking hissy fit and was like, nah, I don't want to do this. And I don't know any of this for sure, but I'm usually pretty spot on when it comes to like knowing when they won't announce, like they would announce he fucked up his foot, right? Mm-hmm. Fucked up his hand. When you go unknown injury, it sounds to me like they're trying to figure out, and then you hear Road Dogg say things like, oh, they hired a special rider just for Bray Wyatt. And now they walk that back and go, well, Road Dogg was mistaken. No, he wasn't. He wasn't mistaken. What it is they don't want it to look like there's being concessions being made. They don't want it to look like we completely fucked this thing up. Like the problem is, once again, where does Bray Wyatt fit in when he comes back? He's not the guy who's going to dethrone Roman Reigns. So he gets to play in the World Heavyweight Championship playground with like Seth Rollins and those guys. It doesn't make sense to me. Last story here. Tony Khan can't comment on CM Punk's rumored return. So AEW president Tony Khan has chosen not to comment on rumors of CM Punk's return to the company, despite speculation that Punk is going to make an appearance in his debut episode of AEW Collision, the new Saturday night AEW show. What are your guys' thoughts on these rumors, and how will CM Punk's return impact AEW? Before we jump into what I had here, it looks like before we went on, there's now articles saying that CM Punk's back on the outs with AEW.
What the fuck happened?
That like this was all set up, ready to go. This show was being built around the homecoming of CM Punk, and now it's being kind of perceived. I call bullshit. I think that they're stirring up this idea that he won't be there. He's kind of gone on some like Twitter tirades and shit like that, which I just believe are all distractions to make it look like he doesn't have a relationship with AEW and he won't be there, because what they want is they want to reenact what happened last time he came back. Problem is, fucking fans aren't stupid. This is a very different return than last time. But this is exactly why I don't like Tony Khan. Because you own the fucking company. He's acting like when you're Triple H, right? If this question gets asked to Triple H has, 3 or 4 levels. He has to go up before he has to, what is the word I'm looking for?
He has to do like checks with people.
He has people who oversee what he does. Tony Khan owns the fucking, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Fuck yeah.
Nobody, and I would like for you to say whatever the fuck you want. That's where you could differentiate yourself from WWE and from that corporate structure.
What you don't understand, he's really telling us, like with his blinking, he's telling us the truth of what's happening.
I think that's his autism. Instead of laying into the return, though, he's doing the pussy thing. He's acting, I can't talk about it, I don't know. Like, he's pretending, it's the thing where they act like we're fucking dumb. We know what's going on. The better thing for him to do would be for him to lay into this idea that CM Punk is coming back. He should have publicly sided with CM Punk. If you're trying to build a wrestling company, he should have publicly sided with CM Punk. He should have said, I have CM Punk's back. Fuck the Elite. I'm talking about from a storyline perspective. You do that. You create this Saturday night show. CM Punk shows up on the Saturday show, and you make the Saturday show super corporate feeling. You make it seem like Tony Khan is putting all his money and all his time into this Saturday night collision. It does two things. If the Saturday night show fails, it gives the elite this momentum and this fuel to yell to their fan base, see, CM Punk can't get it done. Y'all like wrestling like we like wrestling.
Yeah.
If it's successful, that's great. You can have the elite become jealous, and you can create a corporate structure of like Tony Khan, CM Punk, and this idea that like the elite have to overcome the new WWE, the new corporate structure. It works. And it's a safe out. There's a big chance this Saturday night show just fucking fails. That it just flops.
I mean, how many people are staying home on a Saturday night watching
wrestling? That's the thing I've seen as well, right? This isn't the fucking 80s where like there was nothing else to do or watch. This is fucking, we're in a time where anybody...
And we've got kids, and even if we try to go on a date, Saturday is just the day that you want to go.
Every age demographic, you can create a reason that they're probably not watching wrestling. There's a reason wrestling does well on Monday night. Most people are home, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason wrestling does well on Wednesday night. Most people are home. There's a reason it does good on Friday night. It's the beginning of the weekend. A lot of people don't go out Friday night. They're kind of planning what they're going to do for the weekend. Saturday is reserved for one time a month. You get these big events where they have to be spectacles. You can't, like, unless this show is in Chicago every week, CM Punk's not going to be enough to drive viewership there on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself some outs. And I feel like the best out would be is to basically for Tony Khan to lay into this idea of like, I'm team CM Punk. I'm creating a corporate structure. The elite are on the outs. They, and then you make Dynamite feel very indie. You make it feel very like what they've always tried to do. And so you have these two stark contrasting shows. And if Saturday night is successful, great. You got a second show that's great. If it fails, the elite can turn around and scream at Tony Khan and CM Punk, you guys don't understand wrestling like we do. It just works. Cut me a fucking check, Tony Khan. It works. Yeah. All right, Lauren, it's time for 10 questions.
Okay.
Last week I won the title back.
No.
I'm on this will be my first title defense of the belt. I had to turn this away from you because I know I've seen you looking at the notes, trying to get a piece of what we're doing here.
You gotta be glad I
10
don't
questions.
have my good contacts on.
10 questions.
All right, let's go.
Go for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're asking questions.
Okay.
You lost last week.
I did lose. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is this a female superstar?
No.
Okay, so it's a guy. Does this person...
And I didn't take it easy this week, just FYI.
You did or you didn't?
Didn't.
Oh, thank
First
you.
title. So you took the title away. It coming back to me now, the gloves are off. We see that you're capable of being a champion. Holding the belt will be seen if you can do that, but we'll see that you're capable of winning it now.
We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
Second question.
It's a man.
It is a man.
Is it part of... So faction means more than two people.
As far as we're concerned, yes.
Okay. Is he part of a faction?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's walk that back. Do managers count?
Yeah, because okay.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes.
Is he Samoan?
No.
Is he white?
No.
How many am I at?
That's 4.
Is he Mexican?
No, that's 5. You're just going to run through races here?
Yep.
5 questions left.
I'm going to guess he's African American.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was a question. I was just speaking out loud, but okay. But I mean, I'll let you have that one. Okay.
That feels like a real cheap way. It's phrased, I'm going to guess.
A manager. Were they?
I might give you a bonus question at the end. We'll see.
Were they on SmackDown this week?
No. That's 6.
Okay. Were they on Monday Night Raw this week?
Yes, 7.
Okay.
I actually gave you your question back, by the way.
Okay. Did they wrestle?
Yes, 8.
I'm at 8.
That's 8. 2 questions left. All right.
It's a manager.
We do 8, 9, 10. 3 questions left. I'm not sure how that works.
Did they come from NXT?
At some point, I believe yes. Not like a. It's not. I'll give you that. It's not like a new NXT edition. Two questions.
Okay.
Come on. Come on.
Is the manager a girl?
Yes, that's 9. One question. Don't look at my board. I see you trying to look at my board. Come on.
I think I know who this is.
Go for it.
Does he wear short shorts?
Yes.
It's Massey.
Yes. Shit.
The only reason why you gave it to me
when
you told me.
I know. I disclosed too much information. I gave you extra questions.
Does the manager count?
I gave you extra questions. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to flesh out some of those. So no. It's fair. We gotta flesh out what a faction we're saying is more than 2 people and a manager counts. And yes. I would say that they're a faction because they have a specific name for their group. The Maximum Male Models is a faction. Yeah. There could be people included into that at some point, like Otis was trying to be brought into that. Yeah. So I didn't even know if you knew the name. I thought you might say Mansoor.
No, I just know Massey.
You got it. You won the title back.
Well, I actually did some research this weekend.
Unlike WWE, we have short title runs here.
Yeah.
You did some research?
You'll probably get it back next week.
You did some research?
Yes, I did do some research. I actually went and I'm still trying to familiarize myself with like each roster because right now there's some crossover.
With the mix, it'll take a little while so that question is going to be tough for a little bit.
Because like what is it? Liv and Raquel were on SmackDown and then right? This week? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're technically Raw wrestlers.
Exactly. And so then I was like, so I got kind of a little bit confused.
KO and Sami are going to be on SmackDown this week.
Yeah.
But they're...
So that's why I knew I had to ask, like, which show were they on? So, like, actually on this week because the rosters aren't quite set in my mind yet.
Gotcha.
I was kind of afraid that you were going to give me an NXT person. Like the new NXT people. And I actually thought that it was going to be Bronson Reed. For some reason, I thought that you were going to give me...
I think we've done Bronson Reed before.
Have we?
I believe so.
He just sticks out of my mind because I think I know that you know that I don't like him. So I feel like you're just going to give him to me again.
Gotcha. All right, let's do a little housekeeping before we get out of here.
Okay.
So the CWCU, which is the video game show, haven't been able to record it in the last 2 weeks.
No, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Shit happens. We've had stuff come up. But I think the easiest way for me, I'm trying to simplify some things. I get myself into these fucking positions where I say I'm going to do these things. And then the first episode took me like 3 nights to edit and finish. What I want to do with that show is I'm going to record all of the wrestling footage. Then how would you feel about coming in here one night and watching it? And we not necessarily announce it in the same form that I did, but like watch it together live. We could do it on Twitch or YouTube.
Yeah, that would be fun.
We'll just talk about it as it's playing.
Uh-huh.
And then
I just have one demand though.
What's that?
Snacks.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. We'll get snacks. We'll do it. But that way then we can watch it with everybody. We'll do it on Thursdays.
That would be fun.
Thursday nights, we'll do it. We'll talk. Then it doesn't become this big editing thing. It just becomes I'll record the episode, play it, and we'll talk through it.
I like that.
It's easier to talk about. So we'll do that, get that covered. Then let's talk about the Fantasy League.
Okay.
I'm going to get with Snuggles and see if he can help me sort out. The schedule's all fucked up. We'll figure out how to fix it.
Who's winning right now? We don't know.
Here's what happened. here's what happened. I'll give you the story on this. So
all right.
I had it all set up, and then right before the draft, I had forgot to put one person in.
Okay.
So right as the draft's happening, that person came in and was like, hey, why am I not in the draft? I was like, fuck, I forgot to update the roster. In a panic, I threw that person in, having already designed a schedule that only had 12 teams. Now we have 13. So that schedule became obsolete. But we had already started with week 1
draft
matches.
Yeah.
So then in week 2, I made a new schedule. But then I think I started on week 2 of that schedule. Somehow I've messed it up. I've got to go back, clarify it, and fix it and get it set up. Because I want it to run right. It could be a lot of fun. But right now it's just turned into it's a stressful thing.
Okay.
And when it's stressful, it's not fun.
No.
So we'll
figure it out.
Everybody bear with me for the next week as I get all this stuff reorganized.
Just like a mathematician.
We're in the fucking works of building a new desk as we speak. The studio's going to look completely different.
Some nice new chairs.
Yeah, we got nice new chairs. So everything is kind of being updated and worked out to be better, but it's definitely hard when I'm a one-man operation.
Yes.
But that is all we have for you guys this week. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out the Discord to meet other cool wrestling fans and casual fans. Make sure to check out some of the other content on the channel. We're going to be doing 2 new shows this week. We're going to combine all of the shows that were separate into one Nerdy D podcast, which will just be a general podcast about a bunch of different stuff. And then we're going to do a game show, a game night, which I think will be fun.
I'm excited.
A bunch of different games. I think we've got like our own version of Cards Against Humanity. We've got our own version of
Pour Drink
$1 Million
something.
But Pour Drink. I forget what the other one's called. It's down there. What's that say? Something with a W. Wavelength. So we'll be playing all kinds of different games. That will be fun. So
yeah.
And eventually, what I want for that show is I want to have people on to play the games as well.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's where that's going. So make sure sign up for the Discord, and with that, Lauren, you can ring the final bell.
Ding ding ding.